Your art doesn't suck. You're just simply not there yet. It's something I had to tell myself. And the more I told myself that, the better my art became. Because I stopped putting unnecessary pressure on myself to be at a position where I'm not yet. When I stopped putting all of this unnecessary pressure on myself, it was so liberating because I can focus more on simpler things. In this pursuit to get better at art, I realized it stopped being as fun as it can be, and I started feeling frustrated every day, wondering why I can't get this art. Because it feels like there's so many things to learn at once. You have to focus on anatomy, color, value, light, every single aspect of art when it comes to actually being a professional, that it feels like when you watch other people's art, it comes so effortlessly. But that's only because of the time that they put in to get to that place. Like many artists, I want to work for Riot Games. Every time I see a splash, it is so intriguing how they render, how they decide on the composition. And I told myself I'm going to get there. So this is the year that I document my journey to get to Riot. That is why my channel is called Road to Riot. There is no doubt in my mind that I'm going to get there. It's just a matter of when. My work isn't that far off. There's just things that I need to work on realistically, like my composition, my perspective. So if I can tighten up a little bit, I can create a portfolio that is appealing enough to actually get a job in the game industry. And it doesn't matter what stage of your journey you're in, you can achieve whatever goal you set out to do. Whether you're a beginner or a professional, there's always something more to learn. So mainly on this channel, I want to focus on how do we increase the quality of work to become industry standard or even be viewed as industry level work. It's not only Riot Games work I'll be breaking down, but it's more so any high fidelity art out there, so I can learn from the masters and take in the information so I can implement it into my own work. This is the year you gotta let go of perfectionism. Like, that's been stifling my creativity, and I've been very reluctant to put work out because I haven't felt like it was good enough to put out. But I realize game companies don't know you exist until you tell them you exist. So you have to put your work out there in order to get the work that you're trying to get. So in order for me to really start loving art again, I had to turn it into a game, gamify it all. So right now I'm literally unranked. I'm basically bronze right now, but I'm trying to get to Grandmaster. And all of this is League talk. If you played League before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Artists like Bo Cheng, he's a Grandmaster and beyond when it comes to art. So I'm trying to get ranked. So I'm putting it all out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're gonna see my process, how I go about creating images, and overall some of the struggles that I do have. But as I have a place to document this journey, I can also look back and see how I've grown. And even something as simple as talking into this mic, it feels so bizarre to me, but I have to put that behind me. And we're gonna further break down the different art styles, because League of Legends have one particular art style. Legend of Runeterra has its own art style. Teamfight Tactics has its own art style, and Wild Rift has its own art style. One thing I also realize when it comes to art in general, you just have to push past the valley of suck. There's going to be one point in your picture where it looks so terrible that you do not want to continue. But if you continue, what's waiting for you at the end is actually something amazing. Every time I draw, I always get to that valley, I climb into that pit, and I want to stop. I was like, this looks hideous. But I keep on pushing, and eventually it gets to a place where like, I kind of like this. But what if it never gets to that place where you can say, hey, I actually like this? Then you simply find what you don't like about it and fix it. I think where a lot of the frustration comes in with art in general is the lack of knowledge or understanding. When there's a subject that we encounter that we don't understand, then it leads to a lot of frustration. And to fill that gap, you can use reference to bridge it, so you can say, well, I don't really understand how to draw this hand, but if I can find the right picture, then I can study the picture so I can eventually get the hand that I'm looking for. And that is why reference is essential in every picture. It doesn't even really have to be art. It can be any art, any endeavor that you're interested in. If you're not familiar with that subject, you can always go and find out more about it. And when you seek that knowledge, you will retain that knowledge more. And being self-taught, you learn a few things, especially like habits that you pick up that eventually may not be so great. And then at that point, it's kind of woven into your DNA. For example, you hear the term fundamentals all the time, but I truly didn't understand the importance of fundamentals and why. It doesn't matter how good you can make something look. If it's drawn poorly, it's drawn poorly. Okay, so seeing that I can't draw that well, now it's actually time to work on my draftsmanship. Actually work on line weight, line quality, and everything in between. So instead of masking it with value, I can just draw. And granted, there's more than one way to get to the end result of a picture, but for me specifically, I want to actually learn how to produce solid line work. Hey, at the end of the day, what do I know? I'm just on the road to a riot.
I'ma kick back when you fake like that. I'ma